Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if this is your first time here, hi, my name is Carrington. Not your first time here, hey, welcome back. If you enjoy anything book or makeup related or both, this will definitely be the channel for you. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button, click the little bell so you're notified of all my future uploads. I try to post 3 videos a week unless I am sick or something is going on, which is why I have a lot of late videos. And I did not post for a while. I got wiped out with a sickness. It was not a good time. It was not a good time. It wasn't anything serious. I think it just ended up being bronchitis and I had to be put on like Z-Pak, antibiotics, cough medicine, steroid, inhalers. It was not a fun time. It was not a good time. So I just did not post anything, and honestly, I didn't read a lot, but I try to post a mixture of makeup and books 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So definitely make sure you guys have subscribed, click the little bell. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, and let's go ahead and let's dive on into today's video, which is I'm going to be talking about the books that I read last month in the month of October and what books are going to be on my to be read list for November. So I had a lot of books that I really wanted to read last month. I think I put like 12 on my list, something like that. I honestly did not read that many. Again, I just got really sick and it took a lot out of me. When I got home, I was literally just like to the couch. So if you guys are excited to see what books I read last month, what books I am hoping to read in November, then definitely keep on watching. One of the books that I read was going to be for a book club that was like an online book club, as well as my one that I put on at work. Fourth Ring was the book that was selected. This is a very thick, chunky kind of a book. It's like 600 pages, 500 pages. How many pages is this? I feel like it's a lot. Oh, it's like 500 pages. So it's a pretty big, thick book. I read this in quite a few days. I really did enjoy this book. This book is going to be about, it's like a mixture. It's got it's like fantasy and magic, but basically it's about Violet, or they call her Vi a lot, and her mom is like this major general, and they have this thing called like these like games, and basically you start off on this trek. You're trying to make it across. If you make it across, if you survive and make it, then you're sorted into one of the wings. Once you're in the wings, you're taught, you're like a lot of schooling. There's a lot of dueling practice. There's a lot of that like going on. And there's Vi is not wanting to like disappoint her mom, but also knows that she's really small, she's really weak. This may not be for her, but she can't disappoint her mom. Her mom was very much like, either you do it or you die doing it, trying to do it. So basically she wants to be like a dragon rider. 2 dragons select her, which is something that like wildly never happens. And now like a lot of people are out to get her, but like the twist at the end where the cliffhanger is, which I'm so glad Iron Flame is coming out, made this like a really good book. Next is going to be the book called Ask for Andrea. This was on my reading list, and I'm so glad that I read this, that I was able to make it through before the sickness happened. But this was so good. This has like a good mixture of like ghosts, but like ghosts in the best way. I can't even begin to tell you until you read this book that there are ghosts, but it's like ghosts in the best way. There, like the end is like a twist, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat. Like what's going to happen? What's going to come of this? It's really good, like going back and forth from like present to today. How it like talks, like it's from the point of view of 3 women who are murdered, and they're the ghosts, and they're trying to seek the revenge on the person that had murdered them. And you know, although there is like some assault scenes and like talk of like murder and things like that, it's not too grotesque. It's not like too over the top. Some of the books I read are like extreme body horror or gore. That was not the case. It was so beautifully written. I would definitely say check that out because it was just so well written, and it has a lot of components to it. It has like the horror aspect with there like being ghosts, but it has a thriller aspect of what's going to happen. But it has just like, it really just like clings to your heartstrings and really makes you just like upset in some places and like super happy in others, and you're just like wanting to yell like, just go do this, and like there's just so many things you want to say. It was a really good book, so good. The next book is going to be Credence. This was another book that was selected for a book club. It was an online one. I'm just going to say this without going into too much detail. I will rank all of these books and I will go into a lot more detail, but just for the sake of this video, I hated this book. I hated it. It's so popular and so widely raved about, but let me just put into why this was not my favorite and I actually hated it. I'm going to be honest here. I don't really have a lot of trigger warnings. I just don't. I would definitely say check trigger warnings for this. And the reason being is because there's a lot of like non-consent things happening with a minor / somebody who is just newly 18, who has just gone through a lot of trauma in her life, and within like family members that aren't really her family members, but also she thinks of them as family members. That is going on. I don't know. It was just, I have to dive more into this book to like let you know why I hated this book so much, because it was really well written. There was a plot. There can sometimes be like some dark romance books where it's just all about like the scenes, the spicy scenes, and there are spicy scenes in here that are really well written, and there's a lot of different types of spice in there. There's age difference spice, there's the consent, non-consent, but I'll get into why I don't really like that part of the book if you watch the ranking video. There's like multiple parties, just like things like that are happening in this book. But there's just so many other like questionable things, and the plot actually has a plot, and it's a pretty good, decent plot. There's just a lot of other things involved in this, and I hated it. Hated it. So stay tuned, because I will definitely give like a whole entire review on that book by itself if you would like. I will rank it and I will talk about it there too, but I can just give you a whole entire jabbering off the wall about this book. So you want to see that? Let me know. Leave that down in the comments. Next is going to be Sour Candy. This is a really, really short, easy to read book. Honestly, you can finish it in like an hour or less, or maybe like 2 hours. I'll say 2 hours just in case you're a slower reader. Like 2 hours. You can finish this book. It's really well written. I really liked the characters. I really liked the story that was kind of surrounding it, especially for how like short it is. It's like 70 pages. So it's like a really short book, but I just thought the characters were really well written. The storyline really had me like thinking. I was just like, wow, what would I do if this were to happen to me and nobody was believing me? And every time I was like, no, this isn't true. You can go fact check this. And then they do. And then everyone's like, I think you're crazy. I would be like, what is happening to me right now? How do I prove my innocence? And I just thought this was like a really, really, really well done book. This is about a man who goes to the store one day and he sees this little boy and their mom, and then suddenly he's now the dad of this little boy, and nobody believes that he had a life before this little boy and that his life was anything like how he remembered it. And he's trying to prove to people that this little boy is not him, and nobody, not even the police who are like checking his leads, are even listening to him or believing him. And he thinks he's losing his mind, which technically he kind of is. And like the scene, like the title Sour Candy, you're probably like, where does this come into play? And absolutely, Sour Candy comes into play. It's a wild book. It was really, really good. And for it being 70 pages and being like that jam-packed, but like so good, and really makes me be like, what would I do? Like, help, like he's not lying. Somebody listen to him, please. And then like the ending, like the twist for the ending, I was like, whoa, dang, okay. So then the last book that I read for October was Slewfoot. This was perfect for October. This is about Abatha, who it gets sold basically, you know, to get married. This is during like Puritan society. So she gets married to this man who he gets the part of this farm and the brother gets the other part. However, the brother gets like both farms in their name. So Abatha and him are working to like pay him off. They're down to like their final payment or two. But then the brother Wallace is like comes up with like this business venture that like doesn't work out. So now he's trying to sell his farm to the people that like he took money from for like this business endeavor that didn't work out. and now they're like trying to take back the farm. Well, then the husband like goes missing, and now Abatha is like working with like this person she thinks is like an angel, but it's actually like the devil, to like help her try to keep her like dead husband's farm. And there's like a lot of like witchcraft in here, and the ending was just like, it was really, really good. This was a really good book, and this was perfect for spooky season. And I really loved how like there were like pictures in here that were drawn by the author, and it just kind of gives you like different pictures of like the different characters like throughout the book, so you can kind of get a glimpse of what they look like through like the author's perspective. It was a really, really well done book. For the month of November, I kind of wanted to break out and do something a little bit different. I wanted to have each of my family members pick 2 books, and then I was going to pick one. And the reason being is because the one that I picked is like 1,000 pages. So that sounds good enough for me to pick like one that has 1,000 pages, and then everybody else pick 2. So the one that I picked is Manacled. This is a Harry Potter fan fiction. This is written after the final battle of Hogwarts. However, instead of like Harry Potter in the end being the one that wins, that's not necessarily the case. There's now Voldemort is still alive, and the Order is still alive, and everyone is dead except for Hermione, and Hermione is taken in and a part of like this like a breeding program to repopulate the magical world. And since Hermione was part of the Order, the Dark Lord is like really trying to like filter into her brain and see her memories, but there was just like so much trauma that she has like blocked off a good portion of her memory. And so now she's staying with Draco, who is supposed to be like her, if you've ever seen like The Handmaid's Tale, right, like Waterford, right, like him, like he is the house man that is supposed to help like repopulate. And so she's like at his house, and slowly her memories like start coming back, and you're supposed to be able to get a glimpse of like all the things that she forgot, and like why those memories of her forgetting them were so important. So I don't know, I started it and I'm loving it so far, and I cannot wait to see what else happens. My husband picked 2 books, and he literally didn't read what the back of any of them were. They were literally just like side by side next to each other on the shelf. So that's what he picked, and I was like, okay, all right, interesting. Interesting 2 choices, and here's why. So this first one's going to be My Dark Vanessa. I've heard so many good things about this, and I cannot wait to read this. But basically, this is about a teenage girl who falls in love with a much older man, and you know, she thinks that like she's in love and that this man really loves her, and she's like, yeah, I know that he's like much older and I'm a teenager, but like he genuinely loves me and cares about me. Like nobody his age gets him. Girl, they get him. They get him. And then all of a sudden he's charged with having like inappropriate relationships with underage girls, and she is just like really torn because she's like, oh, I thought he really loved me because like I was special, I was different. She's just like really struggling with that. So I really want to see what that is about. I've heard so many good things. The next one is going to be The Groomer by Jonathan. I'm not sure. This is literally how he writes his name. It's like John and then Ethan. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. But anyways, I have read another one, or this will be my second or third book of his, and his books are always just like really thought-provoking. They are deeply disturbing books. Just like check your trigger warnings. They're usually generally deeply disturbing books, and I think that's the part that's like really like thought-provoking, is because a lot of the things that he like covers are things that happen, and a lot of people don't want to like think of it that way. But it does. Sometimes weird things happen like that. But this is about a man who grooms small children, and it kind of just like talks about him grooming a smaller child and like the terrible things that like they do, but also like talks about like how he became like this groomer. I just think that it's so interesting because although this is a fictional book, and the other one I read by him was called Lovesick, and that's about somebody who is infected with a bunch of STD/Is, so like diseases or things you can't really necessarily get rid of, infections you can. So he is infected, and he is so mad at the world that now he wants to infect everyone else that he can. And you're just like, oh my gosh, like this is so gross. But like there are cases of people where they're so upset that they are infected that they are willing to do it to other people. and not even care. And I don't know. So anyways, I'm interested to read this just because I do like really thought-provoking books. So I hope that that does give me some thought provocation. Next up is going to be the two that my son chose. He was really excited about this, but he's really short and my bookshelf is like super tall, so he could only reach like the bottom 2 or 3 shelves. So he just picked up the ones that were next to them. So he picked, number one, he picked The Last Party. So there is this guy who has like a party every New Year's at his house. They're like wild successes. So many people come, and you know, it's like a normal New Year's Eve party, except for come morning, one of the guests is now dead, and now they're trying to solve like who out of the rest of them could have like committed these crimes, who could have done it. And it just kind of goes through like the list of like why everyone is a suspect, but who was the one who ultimately like killed him. So it sounds like this book is going to be like full of like secrets, so I'm very excited for that. And then he picked this book right here called One of Us is Lying. So this is about 5 kids that go into detention one day together. At the end of detention, though, one of them is dead, and all the rest of the 4 are suspects, and they're trying to like clear their name. But how would he have died in detention when it was just them there? And why did they want him dead? What secrets are there? And it looked like the guy, his name is Simon, that was killed, was going to post a ton of secrets about all 4 of them. And so there's just like a ton of like tangled webs of like lies going on between all of them. So that sounds really exciting, which is really, really interesting because I did not show anybody what everybody else picked. So my daughter came in to pick last because she was too busy doing something else to go pick at the same time as everyone else. So finally, when she got to it, she decided to get it together. You know, she had to take her time. It's fine. We all get there eventually. It was her turn to pick, and she literally picked out the sequel, and I thought that was so funny. I started laughing as soon as she picked this out. I was like, your brother picked out the first one, so that's really cool that you picked out the second one, so I can work on this series. But this is about where these 4 have been cleared of their name, but there's somebody that just isn't willing to let it go and is posting more information about them. And so they're, you know, trying to figure out who this is and why they're doing it. But somebody is wanting to keep the legacy alive. And then the last one that she picked because she really liked the cover is going to be The Murder Game. So this is about a few students who are at like this boarding school together, and they decide that they want to sneak out one night into the woods where there's going to be some girls that are supposed to meet them, and they are so excited. But when they get into the woods, they notice that a teacher's wife is dead, and now, you know, everybody's being like investigated, and they don't want to like tell the truth as to where they were that night. So they're like trying to solve the murder so that way they can keep themselves a secret as to what they were doing that night. So they're trying to like solve the murder, but the killer doesn't want them to solve it and knows that they're trying to solve it, but they're trying to clear their name as well. And there's so many suspects. Are they going to be able to like narrow it down and solve it in time before they are next? So definitely a lot of like thriller type books this month. I only picked one, and the rest of the books were all picked by my kids and my husband. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but I'm really excited to read all of those. Let me know what you guys think down below. Were there any books from October or this month that you have read that you're wanting to read? Are there some of these books where you're like, nope, I'm good. We can peace out from there, and I will never mention this again. Let me know all of that down below. If you enjoyed this video, please do give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Click the little bell if you have not yet already, so you guys can see more book hauls, book rankings, thoughts on books, to be read, all of that. So make sure you guys have subscribed. Click the little bell. Don't forget to comment down below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you all in my next one.